y'all? What's up? This is episode 131 of YDK with Vince Steven. How the fuck are y'all doing? I'm trying to get my head. This is the first video podcast, and my computer's fucking up right now. So I'll probably have to do this intro again. It's alright. It wouldn't be the first time. So how's everybody been doing? I know I used to do, well, this is what I used to do. I used to go downtown Los Angeles. I'll be like broadcasting from downtown Los Angeles until otherwise specified. Well, it's otherwise been specified. Wow, this intro music is loud as fuck. It's loud as shit. It's alright. Y'all didn't need to hear any of that anyway. And I can always turn it down. It's not a big deal. Okay? I can always turn it down. Broadcasting from Koreatown, LA, until otherwise specified now. What the fuck is up? I used to do the date too, but I'm not doing the date no more. This might come out a month from now. I don't know. You know, it's just how shit rolls now. And I don't even know if you even heard any of that music, because I did not arm my little clicky button thing. Didn't arm it. Didn't arm it before I podcasted. It shows you how rusty I am. I'm rusty and I'm dusty. Okay? Rusty and dusty. This is YDK podcast with Rusty and Dusty. Rusty's my alter ego. Dusty is who I really am. So I just looked at the last podcast that I made, and it's called Jack of All Trades, because I do a lot of different shit. I do this podcasting, I make music, I do video editing, I write, I love writing. And then even in like the regular job market, I know how to do a bunch of shit. Cook, fix phones, network, IT, like administration shit. I can fucking fix your fucking, I can fucking train your cat. I can roof. I can do plumbing, basic electrical. I can take a bullet out of your gangster homie. I can fucking, I can do it all. I can do it all. And that's because I learned how to learn. That's one thing that like school doesn't teach you, is how to learn. Like, because it's such basic general shit that they don't teach anybody how they learn stuff. They just expect you to learn it by pumping it into your brain like a top 40 song. And that's how it is. That's how the world is. You gotta learn like a top 40 song. Or find out how you learn, and then you can be doing podcasts and shit. Which is not that big of a reward. But it's almost there. It's almost there. Anyway, what the fuck is up, people? It's been a while since I recorded a podcast. Like I said, it was Jack of All Trades. I was talking about shit. I was listening. I hit like a funny part, so I laughed as soon as I heard it. I was like cringing listening to my old podcast, because I don't think I just, I heard a couple of them and I almost fell asleep while I was walking. And I apologize to anybody who's fell asleep walking, listening to my podcast, because that's not how I wanted to do it. Because you can get hit by a bus, or at least fall asleep while you're walking, then you fall down and somebody take your wallet, and then you gotta get a new ID. They done took your fucking cash, your fucking credit cards. You gotta get new credit cards. It's fucked up. It's fucked up when you fall asleep walking. But last time I did the podcast, it was Halloween. I thought I did one after Halloween Day. I did this one before Halloween. It was may have been like the 27th, but I put it out on Halloween, same day my album came out. And I was just like, that's it. Fuck it. I can't do this podcast here because at the time I lived at a Airbnb. And let me just break down the events for you as they happen. At around sometime in September, my old roommate was like, "Hey man, I'm moving out. You know, trying to fucking progress and move up." Okay, let me tell you about this guy. He is. I don't want to see. I was so ready to shit on him. Like if this podcast had came out 5 months ago, he would have got shitted on. But so he's lucky. But he's not that motivated of a person. So it doesn't like I don't know why he was telling me, I'm just trying to, do big things, It's like, no, you're not. You're trying to sleep all day. That's why you don't like me making noise. It's like, okay, that's fine, but you can't sleep all day when you depend on another person to pay rent on time, which you never did, and use all of my body wash. He used all my body wash, and when I didn't buy body wash and we had dishwashing detergent, he would use the fucking dishwashing detergent to wash his body. I would be buying these giant things of dishwashing detergent and they'd be gone in a week. What the fuck? Why is it's two of us. He doesn't even he ate out every night. Why is all the fucking dishwashing detergent being used in a week? I ain't seen nobody wash dishes but me. Like, and so I started keeping that shit in my shit. I started keeping it with me. Toilet paper too. He'd use all the fucking toilet paper. I'd buy a fucking 4 rolls of 2-ply, the good toilet paper too, the good ass toilet paper. And this motherfucker would use all of that toilet paper, like, what is it, 4 rolls? To be gone in 4 days. 4 days, gone. And then I buy more. And I buy more. And I was like, fuck it, I'm not buying that shit no more. And you know what kind of fucking toilet paper he bought? The 1-ply jail shit. The jail toilet paper. Don't nobody want to use that fucking 7,000, like the roll's too thick. Like it looks like a roll of fucking like copper wiring that they use to fucking send electricity through telephone poles. It's just too fucking big, but it's only 1-ply. He'd buy that shit and then use that up in a day. So I just bought my own I bought my own shit and kept it with me because he kept using all my shit and never replacing it with the same shit. So that was one thing that pissed me off about him. And he'd always talk shit about people he didn't know. Like Taylor Swift. You don't know Taylor Swift. Why are you talking shit about her? You act like you're her tour manager. You're like, or some rapper, or somebody. He'd talk shit about him. And it's like, dude, why are you talking shit about these people you don't know? And he's like, fuck you. I was like, oh Jesus Christ, you're a nightmare. Those are just small things. He's done other things like destroy. Oh no, let me stop. Okay, so I moved out. I couldn't take over the lease to the apartment because it was on Flower and Pico in Los Angeles, and the guy that owned the apartment building was trying to sell it. So no new neighbor. Like the whole time I lived there, like I think maybe in the beginning there was new neighbors, but after that there was nobody. There's no new people there. They're just waiting. But it's gonna take 10 years for him to get those people out of there because most of those people were retired and lived off Social Security or crazy and lived off Social Security, or disabled and lived off Social Security. So good luck, guy. Good luck selling your building and getting those people out of there. Um, and so the lady, when I went down to talk to her, I was like, "Can I take over the lease of the apartment, or you even get a different apartment?" And she was like, "No, no, no." And she like looked around like she was gonna do something, like, "Oh, maybe I can call them and see." And she just like kind of looked around a little bit and looked back up at me and was like, "No." I was like, "Fuck. Thanks for your help. Thanks for your help. I'm gonna be homeless, but thanks for your help." Um, so I was looking for places and I haven't looked for a place in a long time. And the dynamic of looking for a place in LA changes like every 2 years. So like you can look on, like before when I first got to LA, it was super easy. I pulled up in Oxnard and it's super expensive, and I was like, oh no, oh no, I'm not living here. And I was in a hotel, and then I looked for some places in LA. This guy Tony, I could say his first name, right? And plus he's a fucking punk musician, so he'd like that anyway. Pull up to this guy named I emailed this guy named Tony on Craigslist. He was looking for roommates in a shared room environment, whatever, whatever. I was like, great. $300 was the rent. I was like, oh fuck yeah. So I moved in there. It was super easy. Now this time when I fucking had to move, it was like I tried to do the Craigslist thing again, and nobody, no callbacks, no fucking email backs. It was just it was like, what the fuck? What am I doing wrong? And so I found an Airbnb that was like cheap enough for me to afford. It wasn't cheap, but it was cheap enough to where I could afford it. Mind you, I work at a school, and this happened in September. So between like August and July, there was a lot of time off, a lot of 6 hour, 7 hour shifts. So I wasn't getting the money that I was getting before. And, I had money saved up. And, you listen to Jack of All Trades and probably the 10 podcasts before that. I'm putting out an album. And I spend time on the album, money on promotion. So I was planning on spending a ton of money on promoting my album. Couldn't do it because now I got to worry about moving out. Just totally stalemated my album. Like, I don't, like, within a general consensus, I don't even know if my album was good or bad because I couldn't get it out like I got out Modeling Creatures, which was okay. And my first album, Ronin, which I still think is pretty good. But I got to put more promotion into Ronin when I first moved to California than I did with Modeling Creatures. Anyway, so I moved into this Airbnb. And so this lady it was in South LA. It was in like 50 something street. And the lady was cool enough. You could tell that she had been through some shit. She had those kind of dead eyes. And you could move inside the house, right? And it's a little extra, couple $100 extra. Or she had these camper vans in the yard, right? Oh, she called them camper vans. They were just vans. And I moved into one of the vans because it was cheaper. Um, it's just a bed, and you can like go up in the front seat and pretend like you were going somewhere, but it was just a bed. No guest. You couldn't smoke in the van. She didn't say anything about weed. You could smoke weed in the van, but she wouldn't let you smoke cigarettes. And did I smoke at the time? I think I started smoking around that time again. It's always October for some reason. So I don't know. Maybe it's like a holiday thing where I got to smoke cigarettes to get through it. Um, so I started smoking again, and I was living in the van, and so you couldn't smoke. So I wasn't smoking in the van. I'd smoke weed and drink as I normally do. Um, and I remember one time I only stayed there 6 weeks because it was like, dude, this is a this is not for people to live in. This is not conducive for a living situation. I go to work, I come home to the van, and if I want to chill, yeah, I chill outside. She had a little area inside you could chill at, but it wasn't comfortable because, people were like in the housing, like in the houses, you can get your own room, which was awesome. But, she'd have new people all the time. So there was these one people that she had that were there when I first got there. Um, Couple of white folks, a white guy, a white girl. I thought they were married. They looked like they were married or something, but they weren't. This lady was just a transient, and the guy she had just found somewhere and asked him to move in with her, like so they can fuck. That's basically it. And one day, uh, so I guess what happened was they would bring stray cats from all over, you know, wherever, and feed them. Like this lady would actively buy cat food to feed stray cats at an Airbnb. And the lady was like, "No pets, no cats. Can't don't get these fucking, I don't like these cats in my yard. They tear up my yard. They shit all over the place. They piss everywhere. I don't have cats. I don't want cats. Don't bring the fucking cats around." So the lady's like, "Okay." After she found a cat in, because there was like a bunch of vans, and she lived in the van behind me, and she found the cat in the van, and she was like, "Don't fucking bring the fucking cat around here again." And the lady was like, "Okay, okay, okay, I won't bring the cat." So I guess one day the lady comes out and like is talking to him about like, because I guess they didn't pay rent, but they were still staying there or something like that. That was the original issue. And she comes out to the van and she just opens the door because she's pissed, right? She's like, "These people aren't paying me. They're dirty," because they were dirty. They were like super dirty. They were alcoholics, so there was bottles everywhere. There was like bottles and trash outside of their van, and it was like, she opens the door and she sees the cat inside the van, and she flipped the fuck out and grabbed this giant log and proceeded to beat the shit out of both of them. It was hilarious. I was sleeping at the time because I just got off work, after work nap. That's me. Um, so I'd hear all this scuffle and shit, and then I go out. I put my pants on all fast, and I go outside, and I see that this lady is beating this other lady with a stick. The lady's trying to. She's like, "I'm sorry," and the guy's still in the van, and she's like screaming, "Get the fuck out the van! Get the fuck out the van!" And finally, they both get out the van. She starts beating them some more, and she's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Um, And she's like, "I got my," she has like a brother or whatever. She was like, "My brother's on his way. If he gets here, y'all ain't leaving." And fucking, it was crazy. She hit this lady so many times with this fucking stick, dude. Oh my god, it was like watching. You felt bad because it was like watching a kid get his ass whooped. But then, like, so she whoops her ass, and the dude like pumps up to her. But it was like me and this other guy out there where you're like, "No, you ain't gonna hit her while we're out here. Like, that's not gonna happen." And so they finally get their shit, and they go, and Me, her, and him are cleaning out their van. Dude, this dude had peed in the fucking side console and had just had bottles and trash swimming in this fucking sea of piss that had to have been there for at least a week. It was the grossest thing I ever seen. He had full bottles of fifths of some cheap ass vodka. I think it was I don't want to say the name. I don't want to shit on their vodka because it wasn't. It's not their fault they make cheap vodka and these people drink it and go shit. Bunch of cans, just a bunch of nasty shit. I remember one time I was I was there. I heard him fucking, and it was so gross because the lady was so loud and so like tone deaf. It's like watching somebody do really really bad, like doing like Stairway to Heaven, like karaoke. Like that song's like 20 minutes long, and it just sounds horrible. That's what it was like. It's like watching. It's just like the monotone, no effort moans. It was like, dude, what is she like? You didn't know what she was. Was she having sex, or is she cleaning the bottom of her feet? You didn't know. Um, it was it was horrible. But I felt like even though like people had stayed there longer than me, like there was two tenants there. I guess you call them tenants, tenants, visitors, travelers, vagabonds. I don't know. Um, they had stayed there longer than me, but I felt like I was overstaying my welcome, just because it was an Airbnb. This lady's trying to make money, even though I paid her every week or 2 weeks. I think I set it up to pay every 18 days or some weird shit. I only stayed for 6 weeks because I was like, I need somewhere better because I would record my podcast out there. I think I did 2 episodes out there, and I just felt like everybody can hear me. And that was one of the issues with my previous roommate. Was it wasn't an issue. I don't care if you listen, but don't sigh. Don't suck your teeth or any of that shit. Because this is just a stream of consciousness. I don't write any of this shit out. I'm just talking, And he would like suck his teeth and just add his opinion to it. And it's like, dude, make your own fucking podcast. I've asked you if you wanted to do the podcast before, and you fucking were all squeamish about it. So don't fucking do it now. Um, so I felt like everybody can hear me, and it'd be like another situation like that. But I guess I was just traumatized from the previous experience, having my roommate like act like he'd either act like I was doing a podcast or I wasn't. Like he'd come home, I'd be doing a podcast, and he'd come home from work, and I think it's on a couple of podcasts where I had to be like, "Hey, dude, I'm doing my podcast. Can you shut the fuck up about your stupid day?" Like, cause he'd come in and be like, "Man, this bitch at work gonna tell me to move boxes." I was like, "Bitch!" I was like, "Dude, don't get the fuck out of here with that shit." I'm doing a fucking podcast. And one time he was like, "I don't give a fuck." And I had to stop the podcast and be like, "Hey, bro, we got an issue here," and then he shut the fuck up. Cause he's only tough if you don't confront him. Like some people are. I get like that sometimes. I'll talk shit about somebody, and then they say, "Hey man, I heard you talk about." I'll be like, I wasn't talking shit. I was just saying that I dislike the way that you treated me, and I don't want to do that anymore. Like we all done it before. Some of us. Some of us are just like, I don't give a fuck. Fuck that dude. I've only done it like once or twice, though. Once or twice. Once or twice. Um, so I moved out of there. Uh, and I have this nice ass bike, right? A bicycle. Uh, it wasn't a racing bike. It was kind of like a mountain bike frame, but I put racing tires on it. Like I bought the bike, and then I just modified it from there. Put racing tires on it. Fucking redid the brakes. Nice ass pedals, nice ass fucking chain. I mean, like it was smooth. It was a fucking fun ass bike. One speed, one speed. It wasn't one of those 97 speed bikes, or it didn't have gears or anything. When you go up a hill, you better have leg strength because you're not gonna make it up that hill. Well, I loved it about that bike. It was like an elliptical, but a bike. Like you got a supreme workout, and the bike was super fucking fast. And like maybe 12 pounds. It weighed the same amount as a cat, like a fat cat. So I took my bike, packed all my. I got a storage unit, so I put all my stuff in a storage unit. Took everything I wanted to take to the new place over to the new place, and this place was over on Adams, like kind of by USC. And that place was a nightmare because this is why the expectation wasn't met when I moved there. You know, things suck. People are like, "Oh, that doesn't suck," blah blah blah. But if it like doesn't hit your expectation, then it sucks. That thing sucks. Whatever it is. You go to fucking McDonald's and they fucking got this new burger and it fucking looks all good on the fucking commercial or whatever. And you go to McDonald's and the fucking burger looks like trash. It tastes like trash. And you can be like, and you go, oh man, that fucking burger is fucking trash. People are like, well, what did you expect? You went to McDonald's. It's like, but they kept the fucking commercial about, no, we're fucking changing our thing and we got fresh beef patties and all this shit and the fucking burger's still fucking trash. It sucked. It's all about the expectation. So I was expecting to move into this place and you know their tagline was it was it was a what they call here, I don't know if they have this everywhere, but in LA they have places where only men can live there or only women can live there. So it was like I went to the only man house because, you know, eventually they figured out I wasn't a woman if I went to the all woman's house. I would have tried if I thought it would be, you know, I'd put a dress on and be like, oh, I'm just like you ladies. Hey, let's have pillow fights and oil fucking. You're like, oil fucking? What's that? You know, when you whip your dick out and you start fucking all you ladies? That probably wouldn't have worked. But, hey, let's all take a shower together. What's that between your legs? It's just my clitoris. Just happens to be 8 inches long. uh, no, it probably, I don't know. There probably been at least one woman mad at. There's a guy here. He says his clitoris is 8 inches long. Um, but I went to their tagline was a place where a man can be a man at home or some shit. I don't know, but that was the expectation that was what I was expecting, and it so wasn't that. It so wasn't that. So I move into this. I go talk to the guy, and he's like. It's funny because he sounded like Chef from South Park. And he was like, oh yeah, this is the place. And he gave me like a little tour. And then we sat down and he was doing the paperwork and he was like, okay, so you can't have alcohol and you can't have drugs. I see that. And he was like, and I wasn't like, oh, I don't smoke weed. I was like, oh yeah, I smoke weed and I drink occasionally. I drink every day, but whatever. I was like, I drink occasionally, you know. I have a sip of, and I smoke with the weed every once in a while. I smoked every day and I drank every day at the time. And he was like, or no, I told him I drink occasionally, and he was like, oh, well, I smell liquor on your breath. And I was like, well, no, because I don't think I drank then. So I don't know what, I think he was just like testing me. And I was like, I just came from a pizza place. And, but at the same time, I felt guilty because I do drink. So I was like, and I planned on drinking. And like I felt kind of self conscious, but at the same time he was like, oh, it doesn't matter, just as long as you don't drink here, and just as long as you don't smoke here. Hey kids, and I was like, cool. So I used to hang out in the garage at this place because there was this one guy that used to hang out in the garage. Super cool dude. He only had one leg, but he was cool. He's a cool guy. He was a music producer. He was, like, he's dead now. He's not dead. He's a music producer. And he used to like show me all his music and shit. And then like one day he was like, "Hey man, you want to go get some drinks?" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" He was like, "You fly, I'll buy," which means I go get the drinks and he'll buy them. I was like, "Well, fuck yeah!" And so that was the first night we drank. And there was this other guy there, this white guy, ex-Marine dude, and have no idea why he was there because he had a car. Like I would, if I had a car in LA, I'd totally live in my car and save money until I could buy my own place. But at if I had to live there, not anywhere but there, that place was not. This is not a place where a man can be at home. That wasn't. They lied. Um. So he so let me get back. Okay, so we're doing the application or whatever. He's telling me all this shit. But the thing that got me is he's like, no guest. And I'm like, no guest? You can't have fucking a lady here? Like, I'm definitely not bringing my homeboys around. Like, but I can't have guests? Like, I can't have a little shorty? And he's like, no. It's like, damn, dude. This fucking sucks. But I got to move out of that Airbnb. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll take it. And no deposit too. That was a pro. So I was like, no deposit. Okay, I'll go get the money right now. I'm moving in, in 3 days. So I give him the money. Tell him I'm moving in 3 days. He shows me where I'm gonna be staying, which is a bunk bed. I will never stay on a bunk bed again. I hate bunk beds. I don't care. I will live in the woods before I live on a bunk bed again. When I first moved to LA, I stayed on a bunk bed. When I lived in this place, I stayed on a bunk bed. I fucking hate bunk beds, and I'm always the top bunk. Because nobody leaves the bottom bunk. Everybody that's on the bottom bunk, they stay on the fucking bottom bunk forever. Nobody leaves the bottom bunk, and so you're always on the fucking top bunk. I was on the top bunk, and it wasn't even like a man. Oh, let me make sure my camera didn't turn off. I think the screen just turned off. Oh, it did. Okay, anyway, so I'm gonna have to splice this together because my fucking camera decided it wanted to turn off in the middle of my goddamn story. So let me go back to where I think maybe it turned off. So I hate bunk beds, and and uh, so it's not. It wasn't even like a man-sized bunk bed. It was like a bunk bed for preteens. Like it wasn't even like a good like strong bunk bed. It was wooden, number one. Which, okay, have you ever climbed on top bunk of a wooden bunk bed? It's the worst because it makes every single wood related noise that you've ever heard. Like you hear creaking and cracking and squeaking and all that shit. It made all those noises. Every single one of those noises. So, and then my roommate was so unapologetically systematic that like my alarm would go off in the morning, right? And he'd knock on the fucking bunk bed and be like, "Hey, turn it off." And I'm like, "Dude, why are you yelling?" Like he'd yell about everything. And sorry about all of the noises. There's like people gardening. Nobody has a yard out here. I don't know why I hear gardening tools and lawnmowers and shit. Like nobody has a yard. Um, Somebody sawing wood. Like you already have a house. Why are you sawing wood for? Anyway, sorry, I was thinking of whether I should pause the podcast and then restart it where the thing went off or whatever, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll figure it out. This isn't coming out till like Tuesday anyway, so I got a little bit of time to make it work. Um, so all right, so we're drinking. We're having a good time at the house anyway. We don't give a fuck. And but some of the people there are just we're so institutionalized or whatever. I'm like, is this a halfway house? This feels kind of like a halfway house. Like, cause some of these people aren't even trying to think out the box. It's like this is where like it literally was going to be where they lived for the rest of their lives. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? And then the guy would try to get people, like, if you drank, if you smoke, like, he would always say, it doesn't matter if you drink off site. Like, if you don't drink here, you're fine. Like, you can go to the bar, get fucked up, come home, and you'd be good. Like, that was, like, the impression that he left. But he would get in your face like when you come home or whatever. The guy who like the landlord guy would get in your face and like talk to you and stuff and like and be like, "Oh, I smell alcohol." And it's like, dude, you said we can fucking not we can drink, we just can't drink here. What the fuck? Who cares? Yeah, you smell alcohol, I've been drinking. What the fuck? And it was so weird, but what I figured out was it's kind of a scam. They really want you to drink there. They really want you to smoke there. They really want you to have guests because there's no refunds. So if you, after you pay your rent, they can kick you out whenever the fuck they wanted to and keep all that money. So it's kind of a fucking scam because one after he knew that I drank, like totally like tried to catch me drinking all the time. And I mean, you ain't gonna catch old Vince. You ain't gonna catch old Vince, baby. I'm slick. So, but one time we were watching the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. I remember it was this day, and me and the guy with one leg, the producer guy, we were drinking. We were hiding it well. You know, we just had a little bottle or whatever, and we just kept it hidden. And we're drinking, having a good time, yelling, talking shit, whatever. But we were outside, and the guy comes over and he's like, "Oh, what are y'all doing?" Like we're watching the Deontay Wilder fight. And he's like, "Oh," and he's looking around. He's not watching the fight at all. He doesn't sit. He doesn't sit down yet. And then he sits down for a little bit after he finishes looking around, seeing if he can find bottles somewhere. It's like, dude, get out of here with that. And he sits down, watches the fight for maybe 10 minutes, and he leaves. So then the white Marine dude comes up. He's drunk as fuck. Like yelling. He's like, "Oh, fuck you guys." Like we make some joke about something he was doing. Like something, he was joking. But he was like, "Oh, fuck you guys. Hey, fuck you guys." And yelling. And then the guy comes back out. And he's like, and then he's like wondering what's going on. And he knows we're not like sober. Like I think he has a feeling we're not sober. And So we watched the fight. It's fun. It's great. Whatever. Then I have to work on. No, Sunday goes by. I have to work on Monday. I go to work. I come back, and he's taken all of my bedding off of my bed and just crumpled it up in the corner. And this is 3 weeks after I moved in, maybe less. Whenever the Deontay Wilder, I moved in November 15th. So whenever the Deontay Wilder fight was, it was like somewhere close to that. And I'm really meticulous about where I put my stuff. So I noticed like where my things were in the closet, and I noticed they moved. So he went through my stuff, pulled up all of my bedding, and then he said, "Oh, it's because we're checking for bed bugs." Dude, I just moved in 2 weeks ago. There was no bedding on the bed before. So you couldn't have did that before. It was kind of weird. And he only did it for me and the one lake guy. And he didn't do it for the Marine guy because they live in the same house. It was like 2 houses with like 18 rooms in them. Like it's tons of rooms. And after that, I was like, okay, I got to get the fuck out of here. This is not cool. Like, I don't want people going through my shit just because I drank. Like, I'm a grown ass man. So, what happened? Okay, so the next thing that happened was I guess he had a chore list or whatever. Or no, he was like, "Oh, Vince, he texted me one day. He was like, "You gotta make your bed every day." And I was like, "What?" Dude, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work. I'm not fucking making a fucking top bunk bed. You can go fuck yourself. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm not. And he was like, so I just said, okay, sure. And I just never made the bed. I just folded up one of his blankets, and I had my own blanket, and I take my blanket, throw it in the closet every morning, take his folded blanket, and just put it on top of the sheet. That was me making the bed, which was okay. And it had to be okay because I wasn't going to fucking make the bed. And then he comes up with this thing, because I never talked to him after that. After he did that shit with my room, I never said anything to him. Hi and bye. That was it. And then he, what did he do? What was the second thing? Oh, and then he was like, "Oh, we have a chore list and you have to do chores, blah, 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 blah." And it was clean the bathroom or whatever. And it was like, I clean the bathroom all the time because some people be leaving the bathroom nasty. Like, I got cleaning stuff. I cleaned the fucking bathroom. He's just trying to, get on me because for some reason he didn't like me. I don't know. So after that, so we were doing something the next day and or one weekend, and the white Marine guy was like, "Hey, you guys want pizza? We're gonna get some pizza, woo!" And he fucking gets some pizza, and the one leg guy like left the garage for a little bit, and so the Marine guy went looking for him, and he goes into the place where the landlord guy lives, and he's like, "Hey!" And he's yelling for the other guy that there's pizza. So the guy's like, "Dude, are you drunk?" And he's like, I guess they get into it, and the and I don't even know why he did this, but the guy was like, "Let me see your bag," because I guess he had a book bag with him. The Marine guy had a book bag with him, and he was like, "Let me see your bag," and then gave him his bag. And I guess there was some alcohol bottles in it. Kicked him out that night. I was like, dude, that's fucked up. And it was like we just paid rent too. Kicked him out that night, and dude was pissed. I'm surprised that he didn't come back and kill us all. To tell you the truth, because that's kind of fucked up. You pay, however many $100 to fucking live there, and you get kicked out for something that everybody else can do. So then after that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm so leaving. So I start like apartment searching, shared room searching, roommate searching, constantly. I put everything else to the side and was just like, this is my job. I go to work, I look for apartments for 5 hours, and then fucking go to sleep. I looked at a couple places. One I missed out on. It was like an artist fucking place, and it was pretty cheap rent. It was still downtown. It was pretty awesome, but I don't know. It looked kind of scammy to me, so I didn't stay. And the guy was like, whatever. Hope you find a place to live or some shit. Like when I text him back, I was like, can I meet you another day? The place around where you live just looks sketchy. And he's like, sketchy? Like, motherfucker, you don't know that this motherfucker's sketchy as shit? Like, what the fuck? This place looks sketchy as a motherfucker. And he's just like, sketchy, question mark? I'm like, come on, bro. You live in warehousing. Like, it's a sketchy ass place. But missed out on that place. And I ended up getting this place where I live right now, which is way better. But even that was a fucking story, because the day that I came to see this fucking place, my bike got stolen. The bike that I had fucking bought and modified and all that shit, fucking, it got stolen out of the garage of the other place that I lived at. The day I came to look at this place. Like, what are the odds, right? And then the landlord guy had the nerve to tell me, oh, I was out here till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 5. I'm outside chilling out in the basement, out in the garage at 5:30. So you mean to tell me you've been out there since 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody with a 2-hour window just came up and fucking stole my bike? Bullshit. That is such bullshit. And I never told him that I was moving out till I came back after I was already moved out and gave him his key. And so he was like, I can find somebody to give you a bike if you need a bike, but I don't know what to do. I tell people to close the gate. And when I first moved there, this is what he told me. When I first went to go see the place, I get off my bike. I meet him in the driveway. I'm like, should I chain my bike up? He's like, no, you don't have to do that. Ain't nobody gonna steal your bike. It's the first thing he fucking told me. Fucking bike gets stolen the day I move out. Wonderful, wonderful fucking place. I hope nobody lives there anymore. So I moved here. Koreatown. It's a good spot. Shared room, but whatever. I don't care. You save money till I get money. Hey. And yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. I've gotten in a fight since I've been here. Not with any of my roommates or anything. Nothing crazy like that. Just some crazy guy hollering nigger out on the streets. Out on the streets of LA. He was like, man, I've been so into these stories, I fucking forgot to drink a little bit of my tasty drink. He was just, hollering racial slurs. And I go out there and I'm like, who talking that nigga shit? And there's a Hispanic guy. Because I say Hispanic because there's Mexicans that live out here. There's Salvadorians that live out here, Guatemalan people, and I'm an idiot when it comes to that stuff. I can't tell all of them apart. So he's a Hispanic or Latino. I don't know, whatever you prefer, whatever. He could have been Guatemalan, Mexican, and Nicaraguan for all I know. Colombian. Who knows? Whatever. That's not the point. The guy that was yelling it was white. And I wasn't planning on fighting him. I was just going to be like, hey, man, after I had known he was crazy, I would have just went back inside. But I didn't know he was crazy. I came out, I was like, who talking on that nigga shit? The Latino dude or Hispanic dude or Nicaraguan or Guatemalan or Salvadorian or Mexican guy said, or he pointed to this guy. And I was like, yo, bro, what the fuck's up? Like, I didn't say it in a confrontational manner. I was just like, what the fuck's up? And he threw down his stuff, which means we're fighting. So you throw down your stuff in front of anybody, that means they're going to fight somebody. So he threw down his stuff. He was like, fuck you, nigger, or just whatever he said. And I got in his face because, you know, I had already sized him up. I was like, okay, this guy's not going to do nothing to me. But let's see what's up. So I got in his face, pressed my forehead against his forehead, you know, in true fight style. And he pushed me and punched me in the chest. And so I was like, okay. I kind of just nodded my head a little bit. And I punched him in the face. Just a straight right jab, right down the pipe. I didn't even step into it. Flat-footed jab. Anybody can take a flat-footed jab. So I flat-footed jabbed him in the face. And he looked back at me like, well, that's all you got? Oh, you fucking nerd. And I popped him again. And he was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then he sobered up. I don't know, got uncrazy for a minute. He was like, I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. I got to go back to my job at the stock market. I apologize for you and disrespecting your culture. And I just want to let you know that one of my cousins is half black. And like, it was, I was like, dude, just don't say that word. When you can beef with anybody, just don't say that word, right? And he's like, okay. I do, dear fans, I apologize for the way that I acted. It was a impulse thing. I shouldn't, even when I am not being recorded, I shouldn't act this way or participate in this sort of negativity. But then, like, he took like 10 steps and he screams, fucking nigger! Which I thought personally was hilarious. But then he walks up. There's another black guy walking down the street. And this white, he says it right to this guy's face, who is way bigger than I am. And he says it to him, and the guy has some aluminum foil in his hand, like the rectangle Reynolds wrap fucking carton. And he smacks the dude in the head with the fucking aluminum foil. And so I run up behind him, and I put him in like a headlock, and I just twist him down to the ground. And the bigger black guy says something to him. He's like, you lucky I ain't fucking hit you like my man did right here. Because I guess he saw the whole thing. He's like, you lucky I ain't pop you in your face. And I'm like, yeah, you're pretty fucking lucky. That guy is very large. He was like way big. And so we just walked down the street, you know. I went back to my apartment. We dapped it up a little bit. The guy still didn't stop. It was hilarious. He was like, instead of saying niggers, though, he was like, fucking miates. I was like, oh, damn, well, he's bilingual and crazy. That's weird. Like, I guess it happens, but you don't normally see that. Haven't seen him since, though. Haven't seen anybody screaming any obscenities since then. So yeah, that was my story about fighting and my moving out of my Flower Pico spot. Let's see. Do I have anything else? I do. I have a lot more, but the fact that my camera turns off every 30 minutes is kind of making me feel weird. So I might just save that for the next episode. Let me see. Let me see. Can I get to a subject real quick? This was what I had planned for the uh, the episode before all this. I was like, is there it's so stupid? Is there a champion in pinball? Like, is there a pinball champion? I don't know why I didn't put anything to any kind of detail or anything under that. I was just like, is there a pinball champion? Should there be a pinball champion? I feel like there should be a champion at pinball. Pinball is hard. It's a hard fucking game. Why isn't there a champion at pinball? Okay, that's all I got. And then a lot about simulation theory. Okay, so we'll talk about simulation theory and then I'm done. All right, so my latest theory on what the fuck's going on is simulation theory. I've been thinking about this for maybe a year. I'm like, what? Well, probably more than a year. Like, I've always had the thought, what if life's a video game? You know? But I've really, really, really been thinking about it in the last year. Like, what if we're just avatars for something that's playing a video game? And the reason why I came to that thought is just because of the advancement of technology now. You take a PlayStation and like you can't even do that. Somebody made I think it was a comic who made or somebody, I forget who it was. Somebody in some podcast I listened to made the uh, example of if you take a motorcycle and you put it in the 1700s, they're not going to know how to fix it if it breaks down. They're not going to know how it runs. They're not going to know how it works. But they may be able to ride it. They may figure out that how to turn it on. They may figure out how to ride it, but they're not going to figure out anything else about it. They're not going to figure out how it's made. They're not going to figure out any of that shit. And it's sort of the same thing to now. Like, well, it's not the same thing to well, it's the same thing as like simulation theory. Like, we know how to do certain things. We know how to live basically, but we don't know why we live. Mate and even the example that Neil deGrasse Tyson has, where how we're so close to apes, right? Our DNA, it matches like what 99% of what an ape's DNA is, but apes aren't self-aware. They can barely use tools. Can be damned if they know how to ride a motorcycle. So if there's 99% of our DNA is ape DNA, going the other way, what's 99%, like what is the other thing 99% above us or 1% above us or whatever? Like, we can't almost even fathom what that is. And we're talking about something that creates universes and makes sustainable life. How much advanced, you know, I wouldn't even say mentally, but just advancement. That's the only word I could think of. How far advanced is that thing? And when you think about video games, we're 100 years or less from making a video game that is exactly like living. You put on your little suit, fucking with all the little fucking tactic and vibration and what do they call it? Vaptic or no haptic fucking transmitters and shit. Undistinguishable from real life. We're 100 years from that or less. If we're 100 years from making simulating a life that is just like this, what would make you think that this, like, you would talk me out of this is a simulation? That's what I'm basically trying to do, is either confirming it in my own stupid brain or debunking it. You know what I mean? Like Jesus would literally have to come back and sit next to me and be like, "Well, my son, we are in a simulation. this is this is real shit." Because it does feel slightly simulated. There's, but I don't know. I don't know. That's as far as I'm gonna get with that right now. I'm gonna have to think about it. I listen to a lot of podcasts about it, and there's this one podcast that I want to talk about on the next show that talks a lot about it. Um, yeah, yeah. And what do we do? We did an hour. That's a good first podcast coming back. An hour. Oh, and we're going to talk about next podcast. We're going to talk about canyon justice. All right, which I think should be the new way that we handle laws. There should be a little. There should be like a little amendment for canyon justice. I'll tell y'all about that in the next episode of Whitey motherfucking K, bitches. This has been Whitey. I don't remember the name. This is Whitey something. And don't forget to rate, subscribe, view the fucking podcast, all that shit. I got my fucking. Go to my website, strangeillustrated.com. I got music on there. I also got my album Errors out. ERRORS. Get that everywhere still. Got new music coming out, doing the whole Halloween fucking release date again, so look forward to that. Fucking, I got my other podcast, or another podcast coming out with one of my homies that live here. That's gonna be out too. Fucking start my Twitch channel. Hopefully that starts tonight. I think I already got a Twitch channel, but I don't think there's any content on it yet. But that's going to start tonight too, maybe. It depends on how willing my camera is. And fucking, we just going to get it in. All right, y'all. And right now, since I didn't arm my closing song, I would have to put it in post-production. So right now the post-production closing song is playing. And everybody have a fucking good fucking day. It's probably, I don't know what day you're watching or listening to this, but it's that day. And fucking have a good one. Peace the fuck out, bitches.